My name is Courtney Martin. I'm 32 years old. The title I've been using to describe myself spiritually lately, it's sort of tongue-in-cheek but kind of serious, has been freelance mystic. I'm a writer, I'm a speaker, and I'm an activist. My spiritual practices really manifest as the work I do in the world. I wake up in the morning and I meditate. I go straight from meditation to writing. I was a political theory major at Barnard College, and I'm always drawn to kind of the intellectual side of spiritual life. I'm always reading theologians, and one of, I think, my journeys and one of the kind of quests of my generation of young feminists is to reunite feminism as a sort of political movement and our own spirituality, the deeply rooted spiritual basis for which feminism even exists. So I feel honored to be a part of that quest. And for me, feminism and spirituality are not inextricable. They actually are quite intertwined. And I just really believe deeply that the call to action for all of us is to close the gap between what we believe and how we live our lives. There's this quote by a theologian, Frederick Buechner, that I love. He says, "Find where your deep gladness meets the world's deep need." I'm most alive when I'm writing. That's when I know I'm channeling all of the gifts that I've been given toward the means of really being of service to the world. It's all sort of oriented around the idea of creating justice. How do we create justice? So the core tenets of my kind of spiritual life, as I would put it, are be kind to everyone, be curious about everything, and trust your own outrage. I think the spiritual life is about tuning into what is that deepest knowing of mine say about what's okay and what's not in the world, and how can I fight against what's not okay. So for me, that mobilizing anger to action is a sacred anger. The truth for me, God is in the in-between the fear and the execution, the question and the solution, the need to express and the poem that manifests. God is the time it takes me to say the last word of this poem and for you to hear it. It would be easier if I had a very specific practice, a religion that I could name, a congregation that I could count on. But the freeing and kind of liberating part of not having that is I can draw on the wisdom of a Mary Daly, and I can draw on the wisdom of a Pema Chodron, and I can sort of just pick and choose all of these beautiful traditions and thoughts. The only way to have a truly embodied and authentic spiritual life is to live into it. Much as I love to read about theology, I also recognize that it's when I'm out in the world hurting people's feelings and doing my best to speak really tough truths, that's when I learn the most about what it means to be human. My call to action is for women to have courage, really listen to the wisdom of their own intuition and their own instincts, despite the cacophony of everything they're hearing. If we're going to create a world that does honor the sacred feminine and does honor women's work, part of that is going to be about each of us being self-aware enough and inspired enough to really close that gap between what we believe and how we act every day.